Okay, welcome to From Rome Info video broadcasting live from Warsaw, Poland, in front of the main train station. I won't begin the actual broadcast for another 12 minutes since I scheduled it at 11 and I don't want to surprise anyone. And let's see. Okay, so it was, I will just do unimportant personal information before my actual transmission. So it was an adventure getting to Warsaw. I was going to rent a car because I figured, well, you rent a car, it wouldn't, maybe 500 euro, you could get to Poland from Rome. They wanted a $5,000 fee on top of renting it. I guess because if you rent one way, sometimes the cars don't come back, maybe in Russia or something. Poland is a notorious place for the theft of cars by the Russian mafia. So I decided to hitchhike because it's what I've always done as a friar, and I know how to do that. Thanks be to God. Pocket Pew is at the session. And so the first day I found a passage to Innsbruck, and the next day I found passage to a small town near Chemnitz, and I slept at a gas station, a truck stop, at a closed restaurant on a bench. It was an experience, but I've done that before, but not in my old age. And the next day I made it to Katowice and then Poland, and then Warsaw. So I arrived in Warsaw about 8:30 last night, and now I have my Polish SIM card, and I'm transmitting on a Polish data network here, from where I'll do all my transmissions. And I'm going to try to do a live broadcast every day, and concentrated on the war in the Ukraine. And so to give you some idea of why I'm doing what I am. This is From Rome.Info video, and the news is mostly about Italy. But it's such a unique event, and Catholic media in the English-speaking language is not really covering it directly. So I think from my daily reports about the war in the Ukraine in English from Warsaw will be a unique YouTuber event for the Catholic world. So I'll be giving a distinctly Catholic exposition of the thing and a view of the thing. And I am a Franciscan friar, and my name is Brother Alexis Bugnolo. I'm the publisher and editor of FromRome.Info. And so I will give you a view of the shopping mall I'm in here for your curiosity. Warsaw is not what I expected it to be. It's much larger, it's much more affluent, and it's extremely clean city with well-behaved people and beautiful large public buildings. And I'm in a shopping mall right opposite the station. It has this modern geodetic ceiling, you can say. Based on, I think, the Sydney Opera House in Australia, which started this kind of trend in architecture many years ago. If you ever get to Sydney, Australia, that's that gives you an idea of where I am and where I'm transmitting from. I would transmit from outside, but the snowstorm has turned into a sleet storm, which is now a rainstorm, and well, it's best to transmit from inside. I see I have very good connectivity here, and so it's an excellent spot, very large and open. And don't forget to give it the thumbs up so that this broadcast can get more known in the YouTube world. And I don't think it will have any problems on this broadcasting, on this channel, because I'm not going to touch any of those topics that YouTube censors on. For videos of that kind, you can go to FromRome.Info, where I publish my totally uncensored English language videos. And I also have a channel in Italian called Alexis Bugnolo. I have two on YouTube, and but they're mostly for Italian political commentary. I have not enabled chat, and the reason I have done that, because I don't want this transmission filled with people swearing at one another or condemning one person or one side to hell like one another, or getting in arguments about politics or ideology or anything like that. I don't think that's productive, and if people want to do that, well, you can always leave a comment on this YouTube channel, and if it's respectful, I'll leave it posted. But I don't want chat. I don't want my live transmissions supporting that, because I'm going to try a bit more professional journalistic publication here, since the mainstream media is giving us propaganda, and I comment on that shortly. Some small comments: if you ever come to Poland as a tourist, things are a lot cheaper here. It's about 33% less expensive than Rome, Italy for most things. They do not use the euro yet. They use the zloty, which looks like schlotsky, but it's really pronounced zloty. I'm pronouncing it right. I'm trying to learn 3 Polish words a day, because I don't know a word of Polish. But a lot of Polish know English, so don't be afraid if you don't know Polish and you only speak English to come to Poland someday. He's going to say, can someone speak English? And nearly everyone knows a little English, and there's frequently very good English speakers in every place you are, standing around you. And as Catholics, are very good at helping, and they have this desire to help people. So I'm finding it a tremendous welcome here in Poland, and I've always admired the Polish people, and my admiration was well placed, I think. So. I want to thank all my readers at FromRome.Info who come to the site every day and read the articles. I have been traveling by hitchhiking, and then have been incommunicado during the time, so that's why you haven't seen many articles. I have to be in a fixed place with good internet connection to bring you most of the news I normally bring you. And when I'm traveling around, that's not so easy. But especially in other countries, because your SIM card only gives you a certain amount of data outside the country. You buy it here in Europe, and so you're limited. So I had to wait until I could get a Polish SIM card for my transmissions and have sufficient data to do a live transmission, because it is very data intensive. And but I want to thank everyone who, during my trip, was sending me help. So I really appreciate that, and it covered all my expenses that I have here, and even in my hermitage in Italy. Most people may not know this, but I still have the hermitage in Italy, and so I still must pay my rent there, even though I'm on this humanitarian mission here in Poland. But I've entrusted it to a faithful layman who will watch over it, see it's not robbed, and kept in order while I'm on my work. So I think everyone who's signed up for a notice probably has it already. If it's not yet 11, I'll start my broadcast. So, welcome to From Rome.Info video. My name's Brother Alexis Bugnolo, and I'm the publisher and editor of FromRome.Info, an electronic journal for news and commentary about Rome, Italy, and the Catholic Church, doing an extraordinary coverage of the war in the Ukraine, broadcasting beginning today live from Warsaw, Poland, in the English language. And this will be a unique channel for information live on the ground about the conflict. First, some specifications. I will be calling it a war, because that is what it is. I'm not going to call it a special military operation, which is the official Russian position, or the conflict in the Ukraine, I think is the position of the mainstream media. I'm a Catholic. I call things by what they are. It's war. And the first thing I want to say about this war is that only one side is just in this war. And in Catholic teaching, we have what's called just war theory, and it was developed from scholasticism in the Middle Ages, and they first started writing treatises on it, even in the 13th century. And A.J. Bauman and I have discussed some of that on Ordo Militaris Radio TV. But in Catholic just war theory, if one side starts a war without just cause, it is an unjust war, and that only the defender, the one being attacked, has the backing of God, the moral right to defend himself and to use military violence. So the other one is committing a crime in every act he and his, or that nation and its military commits. And in modern international law, to attack a nation without provocation is an international crime. And Russia and Belarus are rightly being censored for this. And the Catholic teaching is the same, one and same teaching, and that's why we should hold that same view. And this is grading a lot of people the wrong way. I'm getting a lot of comments on FromRome about this, because a lot of people judge right and wrong, not according to the teaching of Christ, but according to whether it fits their politics or ideology. So in their mind, if Putin is a better leader, then he can start any war and it's always just. And that's not Catholic teaching. That is not the Christian position. Even if Putin was a living saint, that is not the Catholic position. Your cause can be just, even if you are not the most perfect leader, even if you're a horrible leader. It doesn't have to do with the morality of the leaders. It has to do with principles of right and wrong. To attack a nation without provocation, military provocation, is equivalent to rape of another person, or physical attack on another person, beating up an old lady or beating up an old man. And Russia is a strong, vigorous, united country, powerful, and it is beating up on the Ukraine. And this is like, it's a clear moral case of injustice on a vast scale. And every Ukrainian who dies, whether civilian or armed forces, is being murdered by the Russian Federation, and the Russian Federation should be held liable in international law for that. And that is the position of modern international jurisprudence on war, and it's also the Catholic position, because the basic principles derived from the Catholic teaching. And if you don't agree with that, well, don't say that I'm being a globalist or anything like that. I'm just being a Catholic. And so it doesn't matter how corrupt one government is or not. It doesn't matter how many evil people are in one nation or not. It doesn't matter those things. So that's how I'm going to cover the war. And the Ukrainian side is just. And I wish for an end to the hostilities, and encourage everyone to support the Ukraine, because the cause is just. Not because they like the government or don't like the government, or whether they like Putin or don't like Putin. On moral principles. And in my coming here, I have already encountered Ukrainian refugees. They're overflowing the cities. I was at the Ukrainian embassy today, and I met them all. And I saw them in the train station last night, and as I traveled from Katowice to Warsaw last night on the train, for the last leg of my trip, I shared a cabin with them. And I interviewed the family that I was traveling with. I won't say what city they're from, and I won't describe the members of the family, because I don't want to endanger their security. But the city they were in, on all the maps, is still said to be part of the Ukraine, and they told me on Monday it was taken by Russian troops, and they had to flee, and their mayor fled. So the maps that are being published on the current positions are not correct. And the mainstream media in the West is downplaying greatly the Russian advance. So I incline to the position that the Russians more likely have already taken everything east of the Dnieper River and are now advancing on Lvov on the west bank already. But I can't verify that because I have just two simple Ukrainians who told me what happened to their town on Monday. And these, I think, are pretty objective testimony because they neither think Putin is a terribly evil man or a terribly good man. They think he's a mediocre kind of leader. They're neither in favor or against him. And they intend to return to the Ukraine, even if it should be conquered by the Russian Federation, and become part of that nation. Not because they support Putin, but because they love their country and they want to go back and live in it. So they're just fleeing from the Ukraine to avoid the conflict. And they tell me that the young man who was speaking with me and the family said, we are very unusual because most of everyone we know is fleeing Ukraine and not coming back if it falls under the control of the Russian Federation. And so I think that's a very balanced view, and it's quite unexpected. I was unexpected to find this kind of nuanced position. And it's clearly the family I was speaking with was under a lot of stress. Because when I asked the boy when his town was taken, he gave me one date, but then I asked him to count out the days, and then it was only 4 days later, and it seemed to him like 2 weeks ago. So they're under a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety. They don't know their future. And I said, you know, there's a lot of people on social media that say, the war is fake. Nothing's happening over there. And he was like, and he didn't have to say anything more than that. But he added, I can't show you videos of them taking my town, but I and my mother both saw it, and we're witnesses to it. So there is a massive amount of propaganda on social media on both sides. And I hope here at FromRome.Info, with my live broadcast from Warsaw, to cut through all that and give you the unvarnished truth. Russia is not saving the Ukraine. Okay. Now, if you think Putin is the savior of the Ukraine and he's upholding Christian right, and he just wants to get rid of a corrupt, unchristian government, well, then I'll just ask you, why is he not doing that? Why is he rather fighting a war? Because he could have had his troops enter the country as policemen and only arrest policemen, only arrest politicians. And he didn't do that. He's even resorting to bombarding civilian residences. So he's conducting a war, and his claim we have to denazify the Ukraine is absurd, because a very, very small percentage of Ukrainians admire anything about the Nazis. So this is the classic case of let's find a U.S. patriot movement and infiltrate someone in there with the Confederate flag and catch that on camera, and they say they're all racists. The classic manipulation. The Western media is doing this. They're getting you to focus on the Azov Brigade and some commemoration of some Waffen-SS that was held by a very small number of people in Lvov a year or two ago, and claim that the modern government of the Ukraine is Nazi, which is totally absurd since the president and the prime minister are Jewish. So this is like Trudeau calling the Jewish MP in Canadian Parliament someone who stands with swastikas. It's the equivalent of it. And this does not mean there are not in the Ukraine people who admire the Nazis or who are white supremacists like in the Azov Brigade. But this is, it would be entirely unfair to the 40 plus million Ukrainians to characterize the whole nation on the basis of a handful of people. And I think if you're rational and you're Christian and you're honest, you'll see all that and you won't fall into that kind of propaganda, which is just being dangled in front of people's eyes to make you hate one side or the other. On the other hand, Putin is not Adolf Hitler. He is not entering the country to arrest all the Jews and put them to death or to kill people for racial reasons. And in the beginning, his army was very disciplined and carefully avoided civilian targets. It's clear he wants to pacify the Ukraine after it is captured by the Russian Federation. And to do that, he has to be on the good side of the people and conduct a strictly military operation that avoids collateral damage and civilian casualties. Things like attacking power supplies, water supplies, things like that. And I think everyone who's honest should recognize that that is very honorable. And considering the pressures, the international pressure on Russia, it's praiseworthy that he's conducting himself in a civilized manner in the war for the most part. There's some journalists now tweeting out that this war is the most inhumane ever and it's like Mordor. I don't take journalists like that seriously. There's no evidence of that at all. War is hell, that's true. But to say this is the most brutal war ever fought is way beyond the realm of exaggeration. It's psychotic, I think. The Ukrainians I meet as refugees, none of them are telling me that relatives were killed. None of them are saying that they were raped by Russians or things like that. Now, I haven't met all the refugees. There's now supposed to be more than 500,000 in Poland, and they're expecting maybe another a couple million more. Obviously, the ones in Poland don't ever want to return to Ukraine under Russian control, and they all told me that outside their embassy today. I asked a whole crowd of about 100 what they thought, and the ones who spoke English answered, and they were all in unison, not under Putin. So the Ukrainians are a Christian people for the most part, and they're Orthodox, Ukrainian Orthodox. They used to be called Russian Orthodox. And Europe is letting them in without papers, and I think pretty much they're going to decide to stay in Europe for the long haul unless their country is liberated and becomes free again. They don't hate their country, but they're very pragmatic people. And I'm only met really women and children because the men are required to stay behind and take up arms to defend their country. The military and the situation on the ground in the Ukraine is not clear at all. As far as I know, there's not sufficient information being put out by either side about the progress of the war and the conflict. So I'm not so clear on that, and I can't comment on that, other than to say that, in my estimation, the Russian military strategy is pretty much a copy of Rommel's military strategy in the Ardennes offensive of 1945 in the Second World War, using armored units, spearheading advances, and taking one city after another. And the Russians are encountering some of the similar problems where they run out of fuel, their armor columns stall, and that's the weak point in their strategy. I don't see the Ukrainians doing this, but the Ukrainians need to not engage the army units, let them pass by, and then after they've gone down the road, attack the fuel trucks. That's what you need to do. Don't attack the army units, attack the fuel trucks, and the army units will become useless within a day, and the Russian army would be defeated. And that's all the Ukraine has to do. They can do that with an army of light arms. They can do that with an army of untrained volunteers. So if they want to win this war, that's all they have to do. And since they're Ukrainians, they know their country, they know where they can hide out until the Russian army passes by. And I hope some sanity comes and they start realizing that. That's a very easy war for the Ukraine to win because of the nature of the strategy Russia is using. We've seen a lot of video that's very credible to show that a good number of the Russian infantry didn't know this was a war. They thought it was a training exercise. They don't want to fight a war. There are credible reports that a lot of people in Russia are upset about it. And to understand the problem Putin is having, we have to look at the whole big picture. So Putin is not the ruler of Russia. That's the first thing. He is put there by the powerful criminal mafia that runs Russia. Russia is run by that mafia that took over the Soviet Union and control all the major industries. Now this mafia makes a lot of money controlling the industries, and for that they have to have trade with the rest of the world. So the sanctions against Putin, which I think caught him off guard, has put him in a very bad position with them. And these people can put a bullet in his head and drop him in the Moscow River any time of the day, and no one's going to defend him from it. So he has to take a stronger position. He has to show himself more belligerent, but he's not posturing for the West. He's posturing for the oligarchs because he doesn't want to get the axe in the back of the head. And the West needs to recognize this. Sanctions don't solve anything. Massive universal sanctions of Russia will only force Putin to see war as the only economic solution to his personal power problem. And that will expand the war in other countries after the Ukraine. And I think that's what the World Economic Forum is doing. They're manipulating Putin. They've sized him up. They promised him the Ukraine. He thought it would be a walk in the park and that they wouldn't really fight back. They're giving a lot more resistance because they have played the same game with him that America played with Saddam Hussein in the Kuwait War. The ambassador said to Saddam Hussein, well, if you want to take the Kuwait, we're not going to object about that. But once he had taken Kuwait, oh, you did wrong. You violated international law. We're now at war with you. And the same thing they've done to Putin. And now he's in a power patch. The World Economic Forum got Putin to play along, I believe, in what's happened in the last 2 years by promising the Ukraine. So as soon as the one narrative ended, he was given the go-ahead. And on the 26th of January, when the U.S. delegation to Moscow had just met with the Russians, told the Russian delegation, don't publish what we said. I think it was pretty clear. It's because you said, we're not going to intervene militarily, which was like the green light to Russia to invade the Ukraine. And I am doing a live transmission on YouTube, a news report. I'm a journalist.
Where are you from?
I am from the United States of America.
Aha, okej. On jest ze Stanów.
Recorded here, okay? This is the bed there.
I didn't know that. I thought it was a public place.
What?
I thought it's a public place, and I'm only showing my face, so I don't see it should be a trip.
It's live.
We are live, so everything you're saying is being transmitted to my audience.
You can record it.
Why can I not?
Because this is bed.
Well, if you show me the law, are you police?
No.
Oh, you are just security.
Security.
So, well, it is not. You do not post that. So how would I know? I said, I will continue my transmission. You can call the police if it's a crime. If it's not a crime,
On продолжает, czyli on kontynuuje rozmowę, a my wzywamy policję. Że ona to nie kończy.
Warty, tak? Zapytaj, jak długo jeszcze czasu.
I think I'm within my rights in Polish law.
You have 5 minutes.
I don't think you can tell me how much time I
Powiedz,
have.
ile jeszcze czasu mu to zajmie, a nie
These people have been here for hours. You don't tell them to leave.
No problem. Please.
No, I'm not. I'm going to continue as long as I need to
How
continue.
much time you will...
I don't know. You've interrupted my train of thought. Now I have to do my whole thing over. So you know. So I'm sure my fans will learn Polish law. But if you have a policy, give me a printed page that says this is a policy for everyone and not just for me.
Nie mamy regulaminu w języku angielskim. To jest umiesz angielski? Dobrze?
We don't have...
Nie, powiedz panu, że jest regulamin centrum, w którym jest zakaz po prostu nagrywania. Powiesz to po angielsku?
Mogę
Okay. So you told I will continue. May I continue my thing?
Okay.
You probably don't have a policy, but you're a security company.
Please wait, okay?
Okay. I am being stopped by 2 private security who I think work for this shopping mall. And well, you heard what they said and what I said back. And I'm giving a news report about the Ukraine in English. This is a non-commercial.
Yes, okay, but here is the regulamin.
Show me the URL. You just wrote that out. I understand what you're saying. I understand what you said, but you must prove to me you have a ban, okay? Because you do not represent the shopping mall. You are a private security company.
Yes.
So you must show me the law. You can't create the law. I'm the head of a U.S. security company, so I'm familiar with these things. Well, no, they have to be published at the entrance of the door. You can't.
On prosi, żeby my mu to przynieśli i pokazali.
Regulamin czy co?
Tak.
Everyone has cell phones. They're making pictures. They're taking films of themselves. They're not doing
Powiedz, że
things.
my jesteśmy regulaminem.
I'm giving you publicity.
Jeśli chce, to może podejść z
All
nami
my
do
fans
punktu
know about your
informacyjnego.
mall. I showed them your beautiful mall. Now they know to come here. You're treating me like this. I'm giving you free publicity. But you're not businessmen, you're security.
It's good. You can go with us to the
I'm not going to go with you.
information.
I'm not going to go with you. If you want to physically assault me, I will file a criminal complaint. Let me do my transmission. It's not going to be much longer. I will not come with you.
No, pan mówi, że on się boi, tak?
Aha.
Czy co?
I will continue exercising my free speech rights under the Polish Constitution
Okay.
and the European Charter of Rights.
How much time you will...
You interrupted me now, so I don't know, 15, 20 minutes.
Okay. You can recording, but 15, 20
I'm,
minutes. Yes,
but, you know, I'm not showing anyone. I'm just showing myself in the station behind you.
I understand.
So your policy is irrational,
Okay.
and you have given me no printed
Okay.
proof that it exists.
15, 20 minutes. Okay?
I suggest you speak to your superior. I suggest you speak to the superior of your company, because I don't think you're acting properly.
Okay. You
Okay.
can record.
You're welcome. Okay, I stood my ground with the local security, who I think have nothing better to do than harass friars doing live transmissions about the Ukraine. Hello, I am doing a live transmission on YouTube. Excuse me. Yeah. Okay. So, where was I? Oh, the war can be won. Ukraine can win the war. The tactics of Russia could easily be defeated with small arms, and I explained why. The Ukraine is doing good things, blowing up bridges and things like that. But don't blow up the bridges before the armor columns arrive. Blow up the bridges before the gas trucks arrive. That way the armor will be on one side of the bridge and the gasoline will be on the other. Use your noggin. So if anyone is watching me in the Ministry of Defense in Ukraine, as Christians, we shouldn't demonize our enemies in war. That is unchristian. It violates the commandment of therefore circumcise your neighbor. And nor should we justify crimes being committed in war because we think one side is morally more superior, or that our own leaders are more morally reprehensible. And so there's a lot of lack of sobriety in what is being said about this war, and I hope to bring you some more clarity on that topic. Let me gather my thoughts after that interruption, and more I wanted to talk about. Oh. So I am here in Poland on a humanitarian mission as president of Ordo Militaris, a North American security company that is involved in humanitarian work. And we are raising money to help refugees from the war zone. And I want to thank the benefactors who have already donated like $240 to that cause. And I encourage you, if you like my reports, always think of that humanitarian need, and I will put a link in the show notes shortly. And what I intend to do as humanitarian work here in Poland is to rent a large property in the countryside and provide free food and housing to refugees who need a place to stay. And I think that's the most non-objectionable humanitarian work that can be done that has no political things with another. Because I think the charity we do to others who are innocent and are suffering should be free from political motivation. The other reason why I'm here is that as a member of Ordo Militaris Catholicus, which is a religious association, we admire the zeal and heroism. I'm doing a live transmission, excuse me, and of the Crusaders of old, of Catholic chivalry. And wherever there is a just war in the defense of innocence, we should rally and we should run to the fight and to help innocents not suffer and to get them out of harm's way. And that is the dedication of our religious association. And so we have put out a call to our followers on social media to come here to Warsaw and join a brigade that we hope to organize of Christian volunteers fighting under our flag, the flag of our order, and for that purpose, to help defend the innocent and the weak in wartime and get them out of harm's way. We are not doing this because we hate Russians, or we're doing this because we love all human beings, especially Christians, and in particular in this case, the people of the Ukraine. who didn't start this war and don't merit to have their homeland destroyed, conquered, or annexed by another state. And I will put information about how volunteers can contact me. I advise them to come to Warsaw, and in a few days' time we'll have a house for them to stay in as we organize our unit that we want to fight together under our own colors under the Ukrainian military command. And I was at the embassy this morning to ask more information, and as I get it, I will transmit it. So when you arrive in Warsaw, I will put our phone number in the show notes of this video. Call me up, and I can tell you where we'll meet, and I'll take you to our recruitment office. Please bring your military recruitment papers. We prefer to have military veterans that know how to fight war, and because in good conscience we can't be people who don't know anything about how to use a gun and put in a war zone. But we will have need in our humanitarian and in our logistics support of our men for a lot of skills, from drivers to purchasers to diplomats to lawyers to public relations. So even if you have no military experience, if you would like to volunteer with us, we'll give you free room and board and a lot of work to do. And that's about all I can say right now. And I want to thank the 8 or 10 men who have already contacted me from around the world, and will be arriving here in Warsaw beginning next week. The war is progressing a lot faster than many think, and it's really not clear if it will conclude quickly or not. So if you want to participate in this conflict in the spirit of the Crusaders' role, under the banner of Ordo Catholicus, leave right away. Come in as a tourist. Don't tell anyone else what you're doing. You cannot currently be a member of the armed forces or the military reserves of your country, okay? Because that is a conflict of interest and would put your nation in a diplomatic crisis with the Russian Federation and Belarus. So you must be retired from military service or have served it as a mercenary private force. What I do know from it's been reported is that Ukraine will be paying its soldiers around $3,300 a day in their local currency. Their local currency is devaluing fast, so that will be falling. And I presume, but I am not certain, that the Ukraine will also pay foreign volunteers the same amount. Our order will not be paying men a salary. We don't have that funds, nor can we raise funds to pay military salaries. And we do a lot of legal hurdles, and I hope to be doing that in the next few weeks here in Poland. And so that's pretty much, bring all your personal effects for about a month. Do not bring any weapons unless you can travel to Poland without violating gun laws or knife laws or things of that sort. And prepare to give your all for the cause of Christ. Christ himself teaches us the perfection of the Christian warrior when he says, greater love no man hath than to lay down his life for his friends, which is a classical expression meaning to put your life on the table and risk it. And this does not mean suicide. This means the service of charity so great that you think of others' well-being before your own. And this is the spirit of our order. And if you want to fight in a unit of that kind, then Ordo Militaris Catholicus' brigade of volunteers in this conflict is something you might want to consider. God bless, and thank you for this watching this broadcast live from Warsaw in front of the Central Station. My name is Brother Alexis Bugnolo. I'm the publisher and editor of FromRome.Info and the president of Ordo Militaris Inc., a Montana private military corporation founded in 2016. God bless.